meeting room. Our advisors are standing by every day from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Go to Zoom and enter the ID number 276-124-396. We'll see you there! Fact number 4. Advisors offer a wide range of in-person and virtual services for students and their families. Based on your 5 steps to US study, a guide to navigating the US higher education application process. Advisors provide information on a host of topics including the admissions process and standardized testing requirements, how to finance a US education, the student visa process, and preparing for departure to the United States. And all of our services are free of charge. Fact number 5. One of the most well-known services that people visit EducationUSA at America for is the US Admission Essay Review. In 2019, there were 416 essay review sessions conducted in at America. So, what are you waiting for? Plan your US study early and don't worry, you're not alone because EducationUSA is here for you.
Hello guys, welcome back again with me Fifi. Welcome to America TV. We welcome all of our audience members joining us online tonight. Hope that you are doing well and staying safe, of course. So for those of you guys who never know what America is the US Embassy American Center here in Jakarta, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. So we have temporarily moved to a solid digital platform so you can enjoy us from the comfort of your own home. So for you guys who are joining us via Zoom right now, you can leave your question at the chat box section or just simply say hi to our speaker and other participants. And please don't forget to use this feature wisely. And for those of you guys who are joining us via America website, Twitter, Facebook, and also Periscope Live, you can simply leave your questions at the comment box for each platform. And in this episode, we will discuss about everything you need to know about TOEFL IBT, IELTS, GRE, and GMAT. Before we begin, let's break the ice with a little game. So the question for tonight is, in which state is Harvard University located? I repeat once again, in which state is Harvard University is located? So you guys can answer the question by only commenting at our live on Facebook at America. Only at our live on Facebook at America. And stay tuned until the end of the program. We will give live shout outs at the end of the event to you guys with the correct answer. So without further ado, okay, don't forget to take a selfie and tag at America's Instagram account. Okay, without further ado, I think we are ready to start the event for tonight. I would like to invite our speaker. So, hi Santika Salim, one of America Education USA advisor. Hi Santika.
Hi Fifi.
Hello.
How are you today?
Oh my God, good to see you again online at America TV at Education USA event. So how are you, Santika?
I'm good. We are working from home and crafting everything online. So that's why we are doing this online session in Zoom, and we are trying to make it, as fun as possible and as informative as possible. So anyone in Jakarta or outside of Jakarta can actually join this. So yeah, I hope people will enjoy our event. Thank you, Fifi.
All right, Santika, are you ready to start the event?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, take it away.
Okay, hi guys, welcome to our event today, and we are very happy to have you. My name is Santika. I'm one of the Education USA advisor here in at America, Jakarta. We are located in Pacific Place Mall, and I'm here with Fina as well. She is another Education USA advisor, and so today we will talk about everything you need to know about the TOEFL IBT, IELTS, GRE, and GMAT. So before that, I will give it to Fina for her introduction. And hi, Fina, are you there?
I am here. How are you, Santika?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And hi, Fina, are you there?
So I will basically go ahead and talk about Education USA, just in case this is your um, first time here with us. Thank you guys so much for joining in, wherever you are. If you're watching us through Zoom, we already have like a good crowd here. But if you guys are also watching us from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we are actually now also live on Instagram, welcome you guys. My name is Vina. I'm one of the advisors in at America. But like Santika mentioned, we are currently going virtual. And if this is your first time hearing about us, hearing about Education USA, I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction about who we are. So basically, Education USA, we are part of the U.S. Department of State, where we have over 400 international student advising centers in more than 170 countries. So basically, we are everywhere. And basically, we assist everyone every step of the way for you guys who wants to study in the US for bachelor's degree, master's, and PhD, or what we call higher education. And of course, in Indonesia, not only in America, but we actually have 8 centers with 10 advisors. So we got 2 in Jakarta, one at the US Embassy with David and Iqbal, and then also in America with Santika and myself. And then we also have 2 centers in Surabaya, one at the US Consulate General with Husky there, and then we also have one at the Unair or Universitas Erlangga with Ambar, and then we have one in Medan at the U.S. Consulate as well with Jeffrey, and then we have one in Malang. At the Universitas Muhammadiyah with Zaki, and then one in Makassar with Chandani at Universitas Fajar, and then last but not least, we actually also have one in Banda Aceh at Universitas Islam Negeri with Lilis. So basically, you can contact one of us because we're basically doing the same thing. We are assisting you guys who want to study in the US. And so we also provide you with 5 steps for those of you who want to study in the US. So we start with step 1, which is research your options. So if you're still in the very early stage, you're maybe still thinking about, I'm not sure if I should study in the US, let's talk to us, let's have a chat. And then once you kind of like decide, you know what you want to study and everything, we can move on to the next step, which is finance your studies, because that's also equally important, right? And then as you may already know, there are a couple of scholarship available from the US and Indonesian government, but there are actually some other funding opportunities for international students. So we're going to talk a lot about that as well. It can be from events or just do one-on-one advising. And after that, we can actually move on to step 3, which is completing your application. That's where basically Santika and I really coming in as an advisor. So for example, the one that is very, very popular, that the one service that is very popular, at least here in Education USA at America, is when we can actually give you guys a feedback on your essay, because that's also very important, right? But then we also, like what we're going to cover tonight, some tips about standardized tests like TOEFL or IELTS. You know, that $1 million question where people keep asking, should I take TOEFL or IELTS? You know, and we're also going to talk about like GRE and GMAT. We can also take a look at your resume and CV. So there's a lot of things going on in step 3, and then once we're pretty much good to go, you're going to submit your application, and then moving on to step 4, which is applying for your student visa. That's basically something that we covered 2 days ago, if you are joining us, basically to anyone who already get accepted. And after that, last step is prepare for your departure, or what we call the PDO. This is part of our annual event where we invite everyone who are basically ready to depart to the US, and then we're going to give you a lot of information, like the first few things that international students need to do when they get to the US, how to maintain visa, how to find housing and all that, and just like study and live in the US. So there's so many things that we actually cover here with Education USA. So if this is your first time hearing about us, please reach out to us. We are basically here. We love working with prospective students who want to study in the US. So that's the short introduction about Education USA. And I'm going to give you back to Santika, and I will be handling the chat box. If you have some questions, please leave it there, and then we're going to have some Q&A session together, Santika and myself. All right, Santika.
Hi, Fina. Thank you. So yeah, like Fina said, we are everywhere in Indonesia, so feel free to reach out to us. And now that we are online, I want you to know that we are on standby in Zoom meeting, in Zoom meeting room. So the Zoom ID, the meeting ID is 276-124-396. So you can just log in anytime, or if you prefer to let us know first, that's also nice. You can email us at jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. The hours is between 1 p.m. until 9 p.m. every day, any day. So yeah, you can have a one-on-one online session, advising session with us, Fina or me. And I have a bit poll here just to be fun and ice-breaking. So can Fina help me with the polling? I'm going to give you like 1 minute to fill in the polling and just see how everybody is doing with the poll.
Yes. Can you see it?
All right. All is up. Yes, I can see it. Okay. So the first question, what level of degree do you want to study in the United States? And the next one will be, there's 6 questions. So I have to also answer this. Okay. Next one is, when do you plan to start studying in the United States? All right. And next one is, where are you watching from? So this one is quite fun because since we are going online, we are expecting more and more people who is actually new, never know about Education USA and America before, because online is basically you can reach us anywhere you are in Indonesia or outside of Indonesia, just with your Wi-Fi connection and at home. So that's third question, and we are moving to the fourth. Have you had an advising session with Education USA and America Advisor before, in person or virtual? So if you have not, let us know, and you're interested, or you just want to simply share your study plan to US, we are very happy to hear from you. Okay, and the fifth one, have you taken a TOEFL, IBT, or IELTS test before? This one is related to our topic today, so we can talk more on that later. And the last question in the poll is, have you taken a GRE or GMAT test before? So yeah, it's the same. I just want to know like how many of you are attending, have ever taken the test. It doesn't matter whether you have taken the test or not. Don't be scared. It's not like when you haven't taken the test, then you are like not qualified or anything, or don't worry about that. So this is purely polling and for fun, and just FYI for us. All right.
Exactly.
I think that's one. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to end the poll here.
I can't wait to see the result. This is quite fun.
Yes.
And I think we already have one chat box, Bina.
Come again?
I think we already have one question in the chat box. I think it's popped up because I'm using my phone. So yeah. So
okay, so we end the poll. Yeah, but for some reason I can't share the result. I'm sorry. I think there's some technical problem
Glitch?
here, but I
Oh,
can definitely share with everyone. Oh, there you go. We are going to
yay.
share the result. Can you see it? I hope everyone can
Woohoo!
see this as
Yes.
well. Great. All right,
Yep,
Santika, if
I
you want
can
to
see
go
it.
over with the.
All right. Thank you, Fina. So the first one is, wow, this is surprising. So we have like 93% of master degree applicants, or those that attending right now are very interested to take the master degree. Um, and then we have for fall 2021 and later term for the second one. And we have most audience in Jabodetabek. Hello, everybody. And we also have some people from Papua. No, we have one from Papua and three from Sumatra. Hello. And so majority of the participants today haven't do advising session with us yet. So yeah, we really encourage you to do that with us, and you can find out a lot more things if you are having difficulties or just need guidance. And the fifth one, have you taken TOEFL or IELTS before? No, I have not. So we have more. I have not taken the test. So that's good. That's why you're here, right? To find out more about it. And it's the same with the GRE or the GMAT test. So yeah, we have almost everybody here haven't taken the test for TOEFL, IBT, IELTS, and GRE and GMAT. All right. So thank you, Fina, for helping me. And I will go
Sure.
ahead and start talking. But before that, I want you to know that these are some of the information that's for you to take in when you are preparing for your application to U.S. universities, and you have to check directly with the universities or your program whether they ask this kind of test from you or not. Okay, and we start with um, what is standardized test, right? Standardized test is basically, a lot of people taking the test together and they are having the same questions from the same pool and the same bank of questions. And so it's kind of like standardized, so they can really, give same grades in consistent manner. So it's kind of like fair. And we have a lot of different types of standardized tests. So for IBT, IELTS, GRE, and GMAT are just some of the standardized tests, and it's generally used for the university application in United States and other countries as well. So other than those four, we also have SAT and ACT, but today we are not going to go in depth in that because that's not our main focus today. So I'll start with the IELTS and TOEFL because that's the most general. A lot of questions coming in on what is the difference between TOEFL and IELTS, right? They're both. I can tell you that they're both English tests, and the difference is basically one is sorry, I'm losing my voice. So TOEFL IBT is American English and IELTS is British English. So yeah, that's one of the main difference. But another one is TOEFL IBT have it all online in a sense that even in the speaking or speaking section, it's all online. And the IELTS is actually in person. So whether you are taking the test paper based or online test for the IELTS, you will have the speaking in person. And TOEFL IBT also, um, let's see, what do I have here? Okay, the duration, it's 2 hours, between 2 hours to 3 hours. So 2 hours 45 minutes for IELTS, and that's excluding the speaking. So when I try to register for the IELTS test, they basically separate the section where you can schedule for the speaking. So after your written test, online test, you can schedule the writing section, and you can schedule for the speaking section test in like another hour. So on the same day, but you can choose hour. And then the TOEFL is about 3 hours as well. The price for IELTS is 2.9 million Indonesian rupiah, and for TOEFL IBT it's $205. So you're wondering like where can you find this test, right? So IELTS is in ets.org, and for IELTS is British Council Foundation.id. That's the Indonesian website, so you can just go directly there and find a lot more details there. You can find the schedule of the test and the price of the test, like how you can, where you can take the test, because they have the center specifically for that, each of the tests. And the validity period, it means how long this test, the test score will be able for you, you will be able to use it for. So IELTS and TOEFL IBT have the same validity period, which is 2 years. So if you take the test once and you're wondering if I retake it, will it be the same validity period? So every test result will be valid for 2 years, regardless of when you take it. Like, for example, I take the first test and then I take the second test. So only the last test will be counted for the validity. Okay, so I talk about the TOEFL, IBT, and IELTS, and the general differences and price and everything, but I haven't tell you that they actually, the scoring is different, because for TOEFL, IBT, it's 0 until 120 points. So the maximum score that you can get is 120, and they don't have half points. So it's all in one increment, so you cannot get 90.5. So, and that's different in IELTS, because in IELTS you can get half points. The scoring for IELTS is between 0 until 9 points, and you can get half points. And the difference here is actually, the English. I actually mentioned to you that the difference between these two tests also lies in their English type. So TOEFL IBT is American English. So I can tell you one of the difference in the English, American English and UK or British English is kind of like their spelling. If you realize it's with Z in American English, and IELTS will use it in S instead of Z. So yeah, that's the difference. And so if you go to ets.org, you will realize that they also host for GRE test, right? And I want you to know that there are different accounts for TOEFL, IBT, and GRE. So when you register, you make a TOEFL, IBT account, and you register for the test, and you want to also take the GRE test, right? And you thought it's the same account, but it's not. I know it's confusing, but you have to go to a different portal from the ets.org. So yeah, they let you choose TOEFL and then GRE. So you have to make each account if you don't want it to be error. So yeah, we had a lot of difficulties in that. I just want to let you know, heads up. So make 2 accounts, one TOEFL and one GRE separately, and you cannot have the same username, but you can have the same password. And let's move on to the GMAT and the GRE. Okay, this is tougher in my opinion, because it's a bit different from TOEFL and IELTS, because they don't only test you for the English. So that's the main difference. If someone come to me and advisee come to me, they start planning and they're like, Mbak Santika, what's the difference between GRE and TOEFL? That's a complete, so they're both standardized tests, but they are testing you in a different way. In GRE and GMAT, they have quantitative section or like mathematics, but in TOEFL and IELTS, obviously they don't have it because it's just English tests. So GRE is also from ETS, as you know that I mentioned, and GMAT is from MBA.com. So you can find all of the information from the website that I mentioned. Price-wise, GRE is the same as IELTS, is $205. GMAT is $250 instead of $205, so it's a bit more expensive. And the main difference for GRE and GMAT here is kind of like the purpose. GMAT is meant for business school and management programs, but GRE is kind of like the name, like GRE, General Record Examination, graduate record examination. So it's more broad and can be used for like other major than the management and business wise. A lot of schools these days, business schools these days, can actually let you choose between you want to take the GRE or the GMAT test for them. So the flexibility is there, but you have to check with the university that you want to apply for. And the next one is what else that I have to cover? Oh, the duration. The duration is about the same. They start from, so GMAT is, I think, shorter. It's about 3 hours past a bit of the duration. But for the GRE, it's 3 hours, 45 minutes. And that's excluding the short break. So that's about 4 hours then. And they have verbal and quantitative section, as I've mentioned. The difference between the GRE and GMAT in verbal section is their emphasis. So in GRE, they're more focused on the vocabulary, and GMAT is on the grammar. So the type of questions is also different. In GRE, you can find 3 types of questions for the verbal. You can choose all the answers that apply. So it's like multiple questions, multiple answers. And then you can choose a sentence in the passage, and there's MCQ. MCQ is a multiple choice question. And in the GMAT, it's all multiple choice. So it really depends on from each person to other person if you find which one is easier and more difficult. A lot of questions coming in to us is like, which one is easier? Because obviously these tests are challenging and we want to find easier way and get a better score so that we are more competitive to apply to the US university. But again, it really depends on how you perceive this test and how good you are in different types of questions. So you have to experiment and give yourself more time. So the tips for the verbal section on the GRE, actually, you need to learn the words, not the definition. So it's kind of impossible for us or any of us to memorize the whole dictionary and the definitions of each word. And obviously not every word, and I heard this a lot because not the words that's being used for the verbal section in GRE is something that's really rare, and you don't even, when you go to US in your graduate program, the chances are you won't encounter those words. So this is purely test, and you are not going to kind of like use this kind of words and vocabulary that they ask. So yeah, it's the serious, it's serious, but it's not something like the fundamental for you to be able to survive in the university. So the next tips for the verbal section is for the GMAT. So you need to learn to speak the grammar instead of the formula of grammar, right? I know a lot of us and international students actually learn English by memorizing like the past tense and past continuous and things like that. But in reality, when you want to check the grammar, and the more often you use English, it's grammar is actually more like speak. So when you read something out loud, if it sounds awkward, then chances are it's grammatically not correct. So yeah, it's like speaking the grammar instead of memorizing the grammar. And another one is, okay, let's move on to the quantitative section. Okay, quantitative section for the GRE, we have, let's cover this part. Okay, so the quantitative section for the GRE, they have 4 types of questions for you. It's multiple choice, multiple answers, numeric entry, and quantitative comparisons. For the GMAT, there's only 2 types. Problem solving, it's in multiple choice, and data sufficiency. So when I try to research on the GMAT part, a lot of people actually find data sufficiency is quite challenging. Not to mention for all international students, GRE and GMAT, verbal sections are quite the challenge because we are not the native speaker of English. Even the native speaker will have difficulties on that. So what we can do is actually still giving a lot of practice to ourselves and do our best in that part. So yeah, you're not alone in, if you find it difficult. A lot of people actually find it difficult as well. And the tips for the GMAT is actually you can use calculator. They allow you to use calculator, but if you attend one of our GRE prep course before with Ibu Mel, she actually tell us that using calculator can waste your time more, and so you have to familiarize yourself with simpler questions, so you don't have to waste your time to use calculator. And for the GMAT, they don't allow you to use calculator, and you have to really, really practice on your basic arithmetic and daily use. And the types of questions, the quantitative section, the types of questions that they ask in GRE and GMAT is a bit different. In a sense, for GMAT, because it's meant for business schools, so they're more, the types of question that ask you how many percent is this discounted and everything like that. So it's more related to business. And for the GRE quant section, they're not that applicable for daily life and business in general. So it's more like the theory that we learn when we're in high school and junior high. Okay. And what is a good score for GRE in total? So GRE scoring is divided into 3 sections: verbal, quant, and writing. So for each verbal and quant, the maximum score is 170, and writing is 6 points, if I'm not mistaken. And the GMAT is the scoring is just all of the section just have 1 score. It's 700 in total. 800 in total. I was looking at the 90th percentile, which is 700. So yeah, the total score for the GMAT is 800, and so they kind of like increment it by 2 points, so you cannot get like what do I call ganjil. Jadi kayaknya nilainya semuanya genap. Okay. So the GRE, on the other hand, if you kind of like total it, so that's what 346 if you include the writing. And the good scores actually, if you aim for highly selective universities, you need to aim for 90th percentile, which is 327 in total. And for the GMAT is 700 in the 90th percentile. But again, I haven't really check on each of the university because there's so many university. So if you go to the university website and trying to find out what is the the requirements of the score for the GRE and the GMAT score, and most of the time they want like put it like the TOEFL and the IELTS score. Usually for TOEFL and IELTS score, the university kind of like stating minimum of, let's say, 90 points for TOEFL IBT and 7.5 for IELTS overall score. That's the requirement for the TOEFL or the IELTS. That's usually what they put in their website. But for the GRE and GMAT, especially for these days, if you go to the business school, they can kind of give you confusion. In a way, you can choose GRE or GMAT, but they don't give you the minimum score of how much you need to score in those tests in order to be qualified. So if you go ahead and email them, they will kind of like give you more information on their preference on how much they prefer your score to be, but it's not but they will give you like average. So based on the students that they have admitted, the average score for GRE is this much and that much for the GMAT. But on their website, they won't put it in because I've never seen it before that they put minimum score of GRE and GMAT for this much and that much. So that's that. And let's move to, what do I have next? Okay, so Okay, what so if you're thinking from perspective, why is these tests are important and everything, right? So part of why it is important is because it's generally required for your application in United States universities. Of course, there are universities that don't require these tests, and more universities these days do not require GRE test anymore because the fact that they maybe think it does not determine the success of the student when they're enrolled. And so yeah, you can, if you ever take the test and you find it very challenging and you want to find university that do not need your GRE or GMAT score, that's completely fine and that's normal. So I just want to let you know that one of the requirements, TOEFL and IELTS, is a bit more strict in a way because it's kind of like your basic on how well you can use English. And when you're in United States, English is kind of like the language, right? If you cannot speak English, and they kind of like think, how are you going to communicate? How are you going to be a successful student there if you don't have the basic of English of certain grade for the TOEFL and IELTS? So if you ask me, is TOEFL, IELTS more important or GRE, GMAT more important? We've actually talked with one of the admission from US University before, and he actually say that they're more strict in TOEFL and IELTS in a way because it's like the basic. For GRE and GMAT, they don't really put the score down on the minimum. Is because they it's like case by case. They can actually see your whole application, your other application documents like your transcript, your essay, which plays a very big role, and letter of recommendation also, CV or resume, and maybe other essay that they ask you to write. So I want to tell you that Vina and me always emphasize that US universities application are holistic. In a way, they don't really just look at one document that you submit, especially your grades, that determines everything. Like it's like, I think they call it a cutoff. So a cutoff is like, if you don't exceed certain score, then you're just being cut off and they won't actually consider you anymore. And that's not the case with US universities, and it's holistic. So you don't really have to freak out too much on each of the thing, but you have to give it your best. Okay, and moving on. And another reason why TOEFL and IELTS is quite important is also because um, you can use, if you're applying for let's say scholarship, right? They actually scholarship in the university in LPDP or Fulbright. They actually look at your TOEFL and IELTS, and if you are applying for some positions in United States universities, it's like um, I applied once for mentorship. So they really want to know your level of English, like how good is your level of English. And one of the indication is looking at your TOEFL or your IELTS score, right? And then they will call you for interview, like how well you're communicating in English. That's one of other use of TOEFL and IELTS. And another thing is actually it's trying to push you to improve your English before you actually go to United States. Is when you're there, you just have to speak in English, write in English, read in English. It's just not a choice anymore because when you're in Indonesia, of course, obviously, it's still a choice for you to use Bahasa Indonesia and mix Indonesian and English together in a sentence when you chat. So yeah, that's not the deal in United States, and it's kind of like preparing you mentally and practically. Okay, it also, so for those people that are applying for university for S1 or S2 for bachelor or master, it's quite self-explanatory that they will need that. But those universities that don't really take your TOEFL or your IELTS score, they usually have ESL, intensive English class. So that's another case, and it's really, you have to check with the university, and if you are trying to go to community college, that's also another case, and they usually have a lower minimum TOEFL or IELTS score. All right. So we will go to, I think we are almost, okay, I almost talked for like 40 minutes now. So I think we should enter into taking questions, right? So yeah, Fina, do we have questions today?
We actually have plenty of questions, Santika, which is some of them, well, actually all of them are really great. So we're going to cover some of this. Okay, let me pick one. We got one from Ali Zemamuche, if I'm
please
pronouncing it correctly. Could you please speak about the new at-home version of TOEFL and GRE, as well as the Duolingo test, since a lot of US universities are accepting it now? You want to take it over, or I can also do that, take that question?
Fina, I got lagging here, I think, internet. Can you please repeat the question
so
for
could
me?
you please speak about the new at-home version of TOEFL and GRE, as well as the Duolingo test? Yeah.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I was about to tell you this because I was just looking. I was going to ETS and MBA.com to an IELTS website to find out on their update because of this pandemic, and turns out all of them actually, I think, except IELTS, all of them actually going online. In the sense, you can take the test at your home. So I saw TOEFL and GRE at home version, and also GMAT for GMAT online. They call it GMAT online, and you can take it at home. And GMAT online is actually cheaper than the usual GMAT, which is only 200 instead of 250. That's a perk, actually. But since I didn't actually register for each of this home version or online version test for this pandemic and this situation, I don't really know what are the differences in comparison to the traditional version. But I would encourage you to look deeper into what are the differences, because I just read the one for, I think, GMAT, right? I think they put in what are the number of questions that will be asked for that version, and you also have to check for the duration of the test. And please keep in mind, when you are at home and you're taking this test, you will need zero distraction. So if you're in an environment where you have a lot of distraction at home, I don't recommend you to take this online or home version, because it can distract you, and it could be not as maximum as you could be doing in the traditional method of their task, like in the whole room, and you have your own cubicle, fully concentrated, right? And Duolingo test, since a lot of so Duolingo is it's actually an app for people to learn different languages. But these days they started giving English test and other tests, but I think only their English is quite recognized by some universities in United States, and it's actually rising in numbers. So more and more universities in United States are able to accept Duolingo. So yeah, if you can try Duolingo, why not? And try Duolingo and see if it's best for you. Okay, I think I have another question I have a question related to statement of purpose. Okay, so for statement of purpose, let's do that in other section. You can email us at jakarta.america@educationusa.org, and I think Fina can help us to put every details on that in the chat box. And also find us in Zoom meeting. We are available every day from 1 until 9 p.m. And okay, can you speak about? Okay, hi Fina.
Yeah, no,
Can I
just
help you?
so just real quick about statement of purpose, because we actually got a couple of questions asking regarding the statement of purpose. And as you guys may already know, that again, that's something that a lot of people actually come to us to get your essays reviewed. And so we actually have this session pretty much like every month when we were still in America. But then now that we're going virtual, we are planning to actually have this session again. I left it in the chat box, the link to the video that we had last time. But then exactly like what Santika said, if you would like to know more about essay related question, we're going to have a separate topic on that. So please tuning in to our upcoming events.
Okay, so I'll continue with another question. It's can you speak about LSAT? So I think in the previous session, Fina also got the LSAT question, right? And Fina actually said that LSAT is for people who wants to take the law, LLM, in United States. And in United States, there's no bachelor degree in law, right? Okay, Fina, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so just real quick, talking about LSAT, technically, if you're Indonesians who actually had a law degree for your bachelor's degree, when you want to take law in the US, your next degree would be LLM. And the good news is you don't actually need LSAT for LLM. So LSAT is only for those who doesn't have a law degree back in bachelor's degree, S1. So for example, like in the US, there is no law degree on the bachelor's degree level. So usually people take pre-law major, and then their first degree of law is equivalent to the master's degree for us, and that's when they need to take LSAT. So in fact, I've been with EducationUSA for almost 5 years now. I have not seen any of my advisees need to take LSAT, just because when they want to study law in the US, it's the level of LLM, and so you don't need that test.
All right, thank you, Fina, for that.
Sure.
I hope that answers your question because that's very detailed, right? And
Yes.
next question is, if we want to get a good score at a verbal GRE test section, let's say 152 out of 170, right? Should we get a total TOEFL score between 90 until 100, 90 up to 100 points, or more to get a good verbal score for the GRE? Okay, so the question is, if you want to get a very good score like 152 in your verbal section for GRE, how much you have to score in your TOEFL? Am I right? So unfortunately, there's no guarantee. So if you score even a perfect score in TOEFL IBT, 120 out of 120, there's no guarantee that your TOEFL, your GRE and your verbal section will be 152 out of 170. Because the thing is, they are testing you in a different aspect. So for the GRE, they have 2 essays for their writing. It's analytical writing. And there is 2 sections, total of 40 questions, and it's for 60 minutes. And like I said before, GRE is more like focusing on their vocabulary instead of their grammar, like GMAT. And TOEFL is basically, giving you this whole-rounded English ability of writing, speaking, listening, and what's the last one? Reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So, and the right, and each of this section actually is kind of like simpler than the GRE, because they're just testing you in a different aspect. And so yeah, there's no guarantee, and you have to. My tips for this is actually try out the trial test. You can try to find them online or from the website. If you have difficulties, contact us. I will try my best to help you to find it. And next question, TOEFL IBT. What if in writing session, we accidentally write British spelling instead of American? Will they count it as a wrong answer? So I'm not really sure on how they will grade the writing session. I mean, spelling and grammar definitely could be one of the parts how they grade your writing, because obviously in writing you have to be able to have a structure and have a good structure, no mistake in spelling and whatsoever. But if you are saying if you make one spelling mistake and you will be taken all of your grade, I don't think so, because they will grade it based on how good in the overall of the essay, and only they will know how they will grade your writing. So when I was taking TOEFL IBT, this is from my personal experience. In TOEFL IBT and in GRE for GRE writing, you have to. I never taken GRE before, but I've heard an advisee who taken it, and the writing section is the structure is quite the same with TOEFL. So when you write in TOEFL IBT and in GRE, you need to have a structure. In a sense, introduction, body paragraph, and then summary. So that three thing you will need to have. It's kind of like a clear cut there. If you don't have a structure, that's a big problem for you. And I think for spelling, it's quite minor. It really depends on how often you repeat the mistake, I guess. Okay, the next one. If the MBA program allows us to take, all right. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong question. So, if our application is seen holistically, will they forgive our bad verbal GRE or IELTS or TOEFL score if we also can show our ability in other third language, or does it have no connection at all? Okay, so it means if you have lower GRE or TOEFL or IELTS score, and you have other language ability, will they, um, just accept you with your lower TOEFL and IELTS and GRE? So we have, I think, Fina also shared with me that you had an advisee who actually did not reach the minimum score that they put in the website of the university, but he or she got accepted. So there is no guarantee, because again, it's a holistic approach, right? It really depends on how low the score that you are talking about here. And if they ask for a minimum TOEFL IBT of 100 points, and you score like a lot below that, I think that will be a problem, because then you will have to be very, very good in other aspect to cover that, and it will reflect in your essay as well, because TOEFL and IELTS and GRE is kind of like a test where you can show your ability as well. I hope that answers the question. And the next one is, I plan to pursue my master's degree taking the TESOL program, teaching English to speakers of other language. Which one should I take? Is it better to take GRE over GMAT, or is it not required for language school students to take those tests? So I know for TESOL, GMAT is not possible, because GMAT is basically for business and management. But for GRE, I will have to ask Fina if she have the answer for this.
Can you repeat that again?
Fina,
Sorry.
do you? So for TESOL, do they need the GRE?
It will definitely depend. Yeah, it will definitely depend on the university. We actually see more and more master's degree program in the US where they no longer require GRE for specific programs. So one of them is something that is like related to education. So for example, University of Pennsylvania, they actually just started to no longer asking for a GRE for the education department. So unfortunately, we don't have the list on which program and which universities that do ask or do not ask for a GRE. That's something that most of our advisees are doing their research on that. But yeah, again, like Santika said, GMAT is exclusive for business program.
So yeah, again, guys. So I also received a question, not here, and it's I think through email. So the question is, do I need GRE or GMAT or TOEFL or IELTS, and if they are mandatory? So it really depends on each university and each college or school, because like I said, this is part. If they require it, it will be part of your requirements to apply, right? So it only makes sense that you need to know where you are applying and then look at their requirements. If they don't ask for the TOEFL or the IELTS, the GRE or the GMAT, then you don't have to submit those, right? So in the first place, you need to know what do you need before you dive into learning the TOEFL, the IELTS, the GRE, the GMAT, and also, what else? I think I have very good questions here. So yeah, Fina will have to cover some questions here.
Yeah, because we actually have a lot of great questions, and I want to also help Santika here. But before I actually just going to read out some of the questions, we want to check if there's anybody from the Zoom who wants to ask your question verbally through us. Please turn your video on, and then you can simply raise your hand, and then our team will basically let us know if you want to ask your question directly to us. So please, I will give you some time to maybe, should I turn my video on and ask directly or not? But while we're waiting, I'm going to just go ahead and answer some of the other question. We here got a question from Aldi Andalan, which I think this is like something that is worth to share with everyone else. So basically, Aldi is asking is he got 87 for the TOEFL IBT score out of 120, and the university that he wants to apply, which is the Applied Economics at the University of Michigan, has a minimum TOEFL of 84, and he's simply asking, is it safe? Absolutely. So when it comes to TOEFL or IELTS, just look at their exact score that they are asking, because that is definitely something that they put on their website. So if they are asking for 87 or like 90 or like 95, that's definitely the score that you want to aim. So yeah, absolutely. And then you also want to take notes that some of the universities, not only they are asking you to have like the overall score of the TOEFL or IELTS, but then they may require some band scores, meaning that they might ask you to submit a 90 for TOEFL IBT, and then they have like some requirements for the speaking or the writing or or all for tasks. So you want to be take notes on that when you actually look on the university website. And still with Aldi here, he's asking that I heard GRE test for verbal is much more difficult than TOEFL IBT. Correct. So a lot of us here in Indonesia, we found it really challenging when it comes to GRE verbal, and he also continued here and said that and the average verbal score for the GRE for the specific program that he wants to apply is 152 for verbal out of 170, and 162 for the quant out of 170. Some people respond to me that you should have 90 or even 100 in the TOEFL IBT to be saved. So the easy way to answer that is, if you don't actually have a good, not that good score on your TOEFL or IELTS, it's almost impossible for you to also get a good score in the GRE, especially in the verbal. Not necessarily for the quant, because quant is everything math, although it's in English, but I definitely see a lot of us here in Indonesia, we are quite strong in math, but not so much in the verbal. So if you can get about 100 on your TOEFL IBT, even some of our advisees get 100 on TOEFL IBT, or even like 7.5 or 8 on IELTS. Some of us might still found it challenging when it comes to take the GRE verbal. So in average, our advisees in Education USA at America, we see for the GRE Verbal around 150-ish. Not a lot of our advisees get to 160, although we got a couple on that. But yeah, what we usually recommend or suggest a lot of our advisees is just do your best on your GRE Verbal, but then do really well on your GRE Quant. So that way you can actually balance out the overall score. Okay, and we got a question from Diana here. Do public policy schools usually accept GMAT? I would say no, because again, GMAT is something that is very exclusive to business. I'm checking it here if we have someone who wants to ask question in Zoom, and we have not seen anybody turn their video on, so that's fine, no pressure. I'll keep going, and try to answer some of the questions before we close the event. Right. So this is actually got this question from one of my advisees here, which this is similar to what Amalia Dewi is asking. So my advice is asking if the MBA program allows us to take GRE on top of GMAT, will I have the same chance as applicants who take GMAT? And then Amalia is asking, if the admission accept GRE and GMAT, which of them is higher than others? So this is like a really good question because, well, technically, again, if GMAT is very exclusive for business, right? So if you already know that you are not, in no way you're going to take other majors outside business, that you're just going to take like business and MBA, anything business related, then maybe you want to consider doing GMAT. But then again, if the universities that you want to apply to also accept GRE, then you basically have two options, right? So for you to find out which one to take is, maybe you want to take a look at these two tests. Not necessarily mean you need to take those two tests, the official tests, but just take a look at it online, and ask yourself, do some mock tests. There are a lot actually for free online, and ask yourself which one that you found it more comfortable in taking the test, you know what I mean? But basically we can say that both are asking for, do something that is related to English and then math, right? Although again, like what Santika covered tonight, the type of questions and the way they ask the questions it can be different. So it's not a question, it's not a matter of people asking GMAT, which one is better, GMAT or GRE? So it's almost similar like when people ask, is TOEFL easier or IELTS easier? It's a question that neither Santika or I can actually answer, because different person has different preference when it comes to this question, when it comes to taking this type of question, right? So technically with MBA program, if they are asking for GRE, no, and then you decide to take GRE instead of GMAT, you still have the same chance. Only that, for example, the GRE Quant is less harder than the GMAT Quant. So if you are aiming for a highly selective MBA programs in the US and you decide to take GRE, you want to take your GRE Quant close to perfect score. And that will be actually equivalent to good score in GMAT. So it can sound really, really tough, but that's what we see on the ground and what we've heard from our advisees. I have one more here. Did you familiar from Alexander Dimas? Did you familiar with the best GMAT course in Indonesia, or if you have any option about taking the courses that people can take during work from home? Unfortunately, we are not able to provide you or just like mentioning some institution. In this case, we do have the answer for you. We just cannot doing it online. In this case, please do reach out to us. Email us at jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org, and then we can give you some tips or some course prep that you can actually take during work from home. One more. This is also good from Ariolanda Sari. Is it possible to get into universities in the US without GRE? Without GRE or GMAT? It is definitely possible. It's just that we don't really have the list, a complete list, because universities in the US, when it comes to master's degree or PhD, they are very decentralized, meaning that one department compared to another department under the same university might require GRE or not from two different departments, right? So it's really decentralized. So it always depends on the from the department. So all you need to do is just simply check with the university website and see if they are actually asking for a GRE or GMAT. Oftentimes when it comes to PhD, I would definitely see that there are a couple of PhD programs where they don't require GRE. So, for example, I got just yesterday an advisee, someone reaching out to us, and he actually got accepted to one of the universities in the US for a PhD program in oral health, and she said that the university actually didn't require him to take GRE. So there you go. And it's definitely normal if there are, some of us here who are, want to study in the US without the GRE for whatever reason. But yeah, so it's definitely possible that the university is actually not asking for GRE. So I'm going to just check real quick here if there's anybody wants to ask us via Zoom. We actually received a lot of questions from other platform as well. So how is it, Santika? Do you have any do you want to add anything else maybe?
Yeah, your answer is really good and detailed. So I really think, it really answers the question. And on top of that, actually, I want to let all of you know that if you have been to America and Education USA events and you're familiar with our events before, you may know that we actually had GRE prep course before, and some IELTS prep course, the short version as well, and IELTS TOEFL prep course in the full version, and the IELTS in the shorter version one. So if you are interested and they're in the past events, right, you can still rewatch them and we can share the link to you, but I really, really need you to email me on that because the link is very long and we don't have it now with us. So email us and ask for, hey Santika or hey Vina, I'm really curious to learn from your free online prep course in the past event. Can I have the link? So yeah, you can email me salim@educationusa.org. That's double S in front, or just simply the jakarta.@america. It's the same. So yeah, I just want to let you know that because we have the resources, why not we use it for a better purpose. And okay, we have one more question. So yeah, I think that's all for today. And Fina, do you have anything on top of this? Because then we will have to close it in a few minutes if we don't have anyone who wants to share anything else.
Sure. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys still have some questions, but unfortunately we have to close the event tonight. But don't worry, reach out to us. We want to have a chat with you guys, so please email us or just simply go to Zoom. We are basically available every day between 1 until 9. Of course, not now because both of us are here. I'm running this event, but let's have a chat tomorrow. And we'll be very happy to assist you on your application. And that would be all from me. Thank you so much, Santika. I think what you're covering tonight is really, really helpful. Going through each score and everything, because that's all what our advisors like to ask. What is a good score? What score should I aim? Because you can't really find that, especially for GRE and GMAT, from the website, right? But for TOEFL and IELTS, you can't really play around with the score. So if the university is asking for a specific score, that would be the score that you would really want to aim. All right, thank you so much, Santika, and yeah.
Okay, so before I forget, I actually want to let you know, these days because of the pandemic, they are waiving the rescheduling fee, and that applies to all of the standardized tests that we covered today, which is TOEFL, GRE, IELTS, and GMAT. So they are giving free reschedule, temporary free rescheduling because of the issue that we have right now. So if you registered and you wonder, oh my god, what's going to happen, I already pay and I already prepare myself, don't panic. Just for ets.org, you just need to log into your account and find the rescheduling section. For IELTS, you need to check your email because they actually reach out to you. I already checked that with the representative here. And for GMAT, unfortunately, I haven't really go into deep in that, but you can log into your account and see if rescheduling is possible because they already put out temporarily free rescheduling for everybody. All right, I think that's it from me. I'm going to give it back to Phoebe.
All right, thank you both for our lovely education advisor from America, Fina and Santika. Thank you for sharing with us tonight, and thank you for answering all of the questions from our participants. And shout out to Alfat Ekaliani for answering correctly. Congratulations, Alfat, and thank you to everyone who has participated. Don't forget to tune in next time and catch a chance to get a shout out from us. And now you may be wondering, how can you develop an awesome idea for a place like this? Don't worry, you can send an event proposal to us by visiting our website at www.adamerica.or.id. Select create a program and go to collaborate with us. All proposals coming to us will be reviewed and your event might be featured here soon. You can also subscribe to our newsletter for all of our weekly events update and will be sent straight to your inbox. That wraps this episode. It has been fun, folks. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye for now, but don't forget to follow our Instagram account, Twitter account, and Facebook account at America for all of our event updates, fun content, and so much more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thanks for joining with us tonight. See you guys again at America TV. Bye bye.